Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
When the NFL was created, George Halas's Chicago Bears rocketed pro football into the nation's spotlight.
The Bears, the world champions.
Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need.
Nicknamed the Monsters of the Midway,
I like that top body. The refrigerator.
the Bears transformed the National Football League.
The Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. It's time for the Bears Hard Knocks Breakdown Podcast with our football guys, Mike Prasnowski and actor, comedian Mike Pusateri. Guys, how are you?
Doing well. Long time no see, Andy.
Been a long
It's
time.
been like 21 hours for
Right.
Pusateri and 4 days, or for 21 hours for Praz and 4 days for Pusateri.
Yeah. There you go. This is our inaugural Hard Knocks version because of the Bears.
That's right.
Yep.
Two people have homes. No. So anyway, does either of you have anything you want to plug? Well, we're getting started here.
Just follow me on TikTok if you like. I'm doing some video things there.
Yeah, I posted one of your Ray Romano's.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Very
that.
nice.
Now that the Chinese government now is closely monitoring pointless exercise, but it was worth it.
That's true. Totally worth it.
Absolutely.
How do you decide? Now, did you? Let's go behind. Let's go behind.
Gonna go behind the scenes. Okay, yeah.
Is it the same wig? Did you fluff it up, or did you get you have two wigs?
Yeah. So I have I have two wigs, but one is I play Ray's wife, and one of them.
I know. I've noticed
that's a blonde-haired wig. No, the other one is just I was too stupid to figure out how to put it on properly, so that's why it's like I'm backwards on some. And I didn't want to redo the damn video.
I was like, Ray got a new haircut.
Yeah, that's what's going on there.
Praz, you got any wigs or anything you want to talk about?
No wigs. Not yet, at least. Still got the full head of hair, but like I said last night, part of this podcast, part of the Cubs podcast as well on this channel. Additionally, do my other Cubs podcast, Bums in the Bleachers, once weekly on the Chicago Sports Bums YouTube page. Myself, John Oliva, will be back next either Monday or Tuesday night, depending on what his schedule looks like.
For those super hot Cubs.
Yeah, red hot.
Took another series. Who knew?
Today.
Unfortunately, though, it's going to be the two hottest teams in baseball clashing this weekend on the south side of Chicago.
It is. The Sox lost a tough one today, so they've won one of their last 23 games.
Right.
Incredible.
Red hot.
And there's no Sunday game, which is weird because
it's the dumbest.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Just an off Sunday. And couldn't the Bears have coordinated that? And they play Saturday afternoon.
Right.
when they played Sunday to fill the void with the baseball teams not busy.
No,
Yeah.
I guess it goes
Kevin
to show
Warren,
that
get on that.
NFL doesn't give a shit about. They don't. There is no. They do not feel competition with baseball.
They don't.
They don't care. They would play. I'm surprised they don't play a preseason game at Wrigley while the Cubs are playing. Oh God, Say has been run over by Tremaine Edmonds. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, the carnage.
Hulk Met just stiff arm PCA.
But we'll get to Cole and his baseball exploits. Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been paying close attention to Hard Knocks, it's been around for over 20 years, and one of the few teams that had never participated had been our beloved Chicago Bears, and they were finally forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They can act like they volunteered, but everybody knows they didn't volunteer to do it. And for the longest time, the reason they didn't want to be on it was a rare, I think, sense of self-awareness. And like, oh God, no! You know how bad we'll look if we broadcast this to the world. And now they're feeling confident, so they're going to let everybody see it. And I general. Oh,
sorry, I was just going to say it really makes you wonder that like if one of the outs for not having to be part of it was hiring a new coach going into next season, makes you really wonder like why they would stick with Matt Eberflus. You'd think they'd be
just
more
to
influenced to try to look.
That's
for
how
a
they
new
make
guy.
their coaching decision.
Exactly.
No, we got to fire him because we don't want to be on Hard Knocks. That'll get us out of it again. Well, I honestly, this is Kevin Warren loves this. I was amazed he was only in the one.
Yeah,
scene.
you know he was pissed.
Right.
About that. You know he's not happy.
He wants to. There's a stadium episode, or there's a big chunk of stadium coming up in one of these.
You would think, because it was not mentioned once. There was zero mention of a stadium.
Yeah.
There was no George appearance.
He did have to though in the open, which I think is really cool. I think the opening to this is
very
awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
there's a shot that must have given Kevin a little tingle down his leg from the lake of Soldier Field with the skyline in the background.
Yeah.
And it looks awesome. I mean, despite the fact that it's our weird spaceship crashed into the lakefront, it does look really cool. And you know he's like, oh, the fans are going to want that. I still don't want that, but it does look cool.
Yeah, and the opening was terrific. I love that they had, we caught the Katie, the Blues Brothers coming on. That was terrific. That was all really well done.
I love that they kept the nostalgia of like Bears history and all that strictly kind of to the opening credits. That they kept it. The content of the show mainly focused on like, you know, the somewhat recent past and then this season.
I was hoping for a good 15 minutes on the unsung hero of the Super Bowl Bears, Tyrone Keys.
Well, season ain't over yet.
That's true. By week 4, when they've run out of stuff, that's when we're gonna get that. And were you surprised that there wasn't any? Because I really wasn't. I'd heard people their expectations for all the things that were going to be in this first episode, and there was a lot of they're going to have to show a lot of the Hall of Fame induction stuff, and I was not surprised that we didn't get any of that, just because these are these Bears that this is about. This is a behind the scene training camp thing. This is not Devin Hester highlight film.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have minded because it was the Hall of Fame game, like them showing at least the bus of the guys or something, maybe a little bit more of a nod. It was kind of a weird show. Like, I'm watching this thinking, now, if I'm not a Bears fan, what do I think of this show? And if I'm not a Bears fan, I'm not thinking that compared to other Hard Knocks, it was that great, honestly.
I would say, as a Bear fan, I ate it all up.
Oh, yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah.
It was propaganda aimed right at me, and I was sitting there with my arms open, just soaking it all in.
I was going to suggest, I feel like they should change the name, though, from Hard Knocks to, I think they should call it Barbershop 5. You know, we spent an inordinate amount of time with Flus in the barbershop. That was, I'm sure we'll get to that. I
could live without ever seeing Matt Eberflus get a haircut.
That was strange.
I don't need to see it. But I would have put that on my list of things that were guaranteed to see. Like that was not. If I had a bingo card, that was on there. Flus getting a haircut because Lawrence Funk is right. His barbershop is in Hallis Hall.
Yeah,
and there's just no way they weren't. They were going to make a big deal out of it. I did. I really enjoyed it at the beginning when. Actually, I think to me the unsung heroes of this episode are the Eberflus women.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. And the amount of shit that the one daughter was giving him for the fact that tight end Ryan Griffin had worn, or like Ryan Griffin, I guess, is a quarterback coach, right? He used to be. I got him confused with somebody else, but he wore the exact same thing.
Oh, right at the
Flus's party,
the pool party,
and then they got that picture of the two of them together. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah,
so Ryan's wearing the exact same thing you are.
So one thing I got a kick out of was just not to jump way too far ahead here, but like the barbershop scene specifically when they had Kelly Eberflus talking about like, need to improve your look. And, I think he looks like Ryan Reynolds. I don't really think that I see what she's going for there, but like not exactly.
You don't think I thought he was, he's in Deadpool, right? Fluspool. Isn't he one of the Deadpool course? He teaches them the hits principle, and they immediately lose the fight.
That's on the director's cut.
To the TVA agents.
Yeah. There we go.
I don't want to spoil a Deadpool Wolverine to anybody. Right. Matt Eberflus is a big part of it.
It was in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to spoil it, but if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, the post-credit scene is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's amazing. It's very good. All right, enough of Deadpool and Wolverine. That's all right. We talked about Breaking Bad for a while during the Cub podcast last night.
That was a good topic. Yeah.
So it's funny. We had heard the Ryan Poles phone call to Caleb on draft night. We'd never heard the Flus one before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Poles one was good because it's basically the NFL is making me wait 5 minutes before we turn the card in. So you have to sit there for 5 minutes.
Right.
But so we got the Flus, and I really like the open. I love that John Facenda is the narrator.
Oh, man,
that was fantastic. Yeah.
That'll really raise the hair on your arms here in John Facenda.
And we didn't get a really good look at it, but the part we saw, Matt Eberflus's house, is pretty good.
It's got a nice house.
Yeah, a nice house.
Be a shame when he has to sell it this year, but yeah, it looks really great.
Yeah. Super. Why to get a bigger one? He won the Super Bowl, and you got to get a bigger house.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what I meant.
I'm going to skip over one thing because it's my most troubling scene in the episode.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to talk about one of the guys in the open. But we did get to see Cole Kmet throw out the first pitch at a Cub game.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you almost got to see his Chuggo shirt. The O was
I didn't notice that.
Covered up.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they were very excited. They were posting screenshots of it today.
Oh, how exciting for them.
When he first goes out on the field, his jersey is open, and he's got a Chuggo shirt on. And then when he goes to throw the pitch, he has it buttoned up, so you can't see it anymore. The former Notre Dame baseball player just about took Clark to the backstop with his first pitch.
It's a good throw.
Yeah. Damn near in the left-handed hitter's batter's box, but football player, not a baseball player.
Yeah, why was he throwing to Clark, by the way? That seemed kind of an odd choice.
Yeah, you couldn't find some, back of the roster bullpen guy?
Clark catches most of them now.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't trouble they've got too many. The Cubs, that's a team full of stars. Who are you going to send out to catch some slappy tight ends first pitch?
Right.
I mean,
so many big egos on that team.
David Bodie has got a lot of stuff to do. He doesn't have time.
You're not going to come to him with that request.
Yeah.
He's still going to do that.
It's probably a good thing. He probably would have broken the thumb.
It was probably supposed to be Colton Brewer, and then, that was the same day he broke his hand, so,
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe Colton Brewer was in the Clark suit, and he broke his hand catching the pitch, and that was just a cover story because it was so reckless.
I got to tell you what, Clark, whoever it is, looked fairly athletic back there catching the pitch.
He did.
So,
it was because that ridiculous oversized glove cannot be easy to catch things with, and he handled it pretty well.
Especially when you're in a Clark outfit too. That can't be easy.
There's a good chance that Clark most days is a girl because Clark is not terribly tall, and there are a lot of females who are mascots. So I don't want to just say he. Besides, we've seen Clark bottomless all the time. And
all the time.
There's very little evidence that he's a man.
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of fur, but
yeah. Just keep him away from our RFK Jr. That's all I want. Keep going on. Clark to end up dead in Central Park.
Yep. with a staged bike accident. I was really kind of disappointed that wasn't in. I thought that was timely news. That they would work that bear story.
A bear story, sure, why not? Yeah.
And they could have used one of my versions, the Barkevius Mingo babysitting one. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Driving. The first time I tweeted that he was driving Sam Fold's car down to Juarez, and that didn't make any sense because Sam Fold was a baseball player for the Cubs. Not Sam Hurd, the former NIU star and wide receiver for the Bears, who's doing a little time in the cooler for running large amounts of drugs. He's just an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So we got Flus giving the I didn't know this is a thing. You give a pep talk before the first preseason practice?
God. Okay.
That is winning doesn't make you a winner. Losing doesn't make you a loser.
Yeah. Didn't that remind you of the scene in The Natural with when the psychiatrist? Losing is a disease. That's all I could think of. Winning, that doesn't make you a winner. I'm sorry. What?
Right.
What are we talking about here, Coach?
His whole point was what? Winning habits makes you a winner. Losing habits makes you a loser.
That's right.
Doesn't winning games? Isn't that a winning habit?
It's the old. It's the old Bob Brenly.
The old Bob Brenly.
If you do things the right way, more often than not, it'll work out.
Yeah, I kind of got lost. I imagine the guys were walking out of that room. Did you hear this motherfucker?
Well, my favorite part of that was when he was talking about, Walter Payton running those hills. Jerry Rice was doing whatever the fuck it is Jerry Rice did.
Roger Staubach was in the Navy.
It's like
right.
It's like Flus, you only had two examples to remember, and you got about 1.5 in, and then it was like whatever the fuck that was. I don't know.
Yeah,
Gale Sayers trying to get on George Halas's good ear side. Yeah,
and you could have just stuck with Walter Payton since he actually was a Bear. That would have been fine.
Right.
Jerry Rice came up again later
with well, they were comparing him to
Colin Johnson.
Thank you.
Yes,
Colin Johnson. Right. That's right.
Well, that seems apt. I think Colin Johnson right now is about as good as Jerry Rice is right now. Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. Jerry's in his 60s.
Future Hall of Famer.
He'd still probably give the edge to Jerry.
You're right.
Right.
But that's fine. Then we got the I did like this. He talked about setting a goal of being 1 out of 32 at your position in the league. You'd be the best player and immediately named the Bears who are the best at their position. The long snapper, Patrick Scales, and the kicker, Cairo Santos.
Yeah.
Because whether you're the long snapper or the kicker or whatever you other guys, that's what your goal should be.
Yeah, and at first I thought, did he miss? Because I thought, wait, 1 out of 32 teams? What's he talking about?
No,
yeah,
that is very coach speak.
Hell of
one
a
of
speech.
32.
Yeah, hell of a speech.
And then we got I felt bad about the next part, the Caleb, when they compared him to Michael Jordan, which of course.
Yeah, let's not throw too much expectations on him.
But then they had Ray Clay do the come on. What was Tommy Edwards doing? He's busy.
Yeah,
and we know Ray's not busy. He hasn't worked in years, so of course he's there.
Tim Sinclair not doing anything these days. Come on.
And did you notice he said quarterback when he asked quarterback Caleb Williams,
my friend.
Just perfect. But there were people ate that up. They that's so cool.
Yeah,
Bull
sure
song. It's like that's kind of. I hate to say that it's kind of played out, but it's played out. The fact that they still play it for the 40 and 42 Bulls every day. That's how it started. They were terrible when it started. They should be terrible.
It's also the intro to like any Chicago area wedding you'll attend to when they're announcing the groom and bridal party.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
I think I told this story at senior night for a game on my senior year playing basketball. Where were we? Somewhere, Kirkland or Franklin Grove or somewhere, Franklin Center. They decided they were going to do I think it was Ashton, little tiny Ashton, which I don't even think has a high school anymore. They decided they were going to do the Bulls intro, so they turned all the lights off, and they put a spotlight out, and they did the and they did the thing in front of all 40 fans that were cheering. And then they turned the lights back on, and it took 5 minutes for the lights to warm back up.
Oh, no.
We just had to stand there and wait. So the, you got the crowd revved up, and then, oh boy, we didn't think of this. They were just on. You would think that they would come right back on again, but they're not. I feel like that's going to happen to the Cubs at some important juncture. They have the lights now that blink, and they have the W's in them.
Like the
and
W, yep.
Like they're gonna get hot, and they're gonna get on a roll, and they're gonna be like right back in playoff contention. And late in the game, Seiya's under a fly ball, and the guy accidentally hits the button, and all of a sudden, it's just strobe lights everywhere.
It's always got to be Seiya you're throwing into the bus.
Seiya's like, holy shit!
Yeah,
I hate this fucking place.
Yeah.
See, this is how we convince him to waive his no trade clause. There you go.
I don't want. That's the other guy that we want to waive the no
That's
trade.
true. That's true.
We don't want Seiya to waive it. They'd never do that to Happer, though.
No, you can't.
No, he's safe. They're not doing that to him.
I can't do that. Think of the coffee we'd miss.
Then I don't remember. Then did we go? Is that when? Yeah, that's when we got the montage of Caleb good plays and then the Caleb bad plays montage. We got both of those.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do we see the car at this point? Jaylon Johnson's.
Well, I was holding the car. For me, we might as well talk about that. To me is the most disturbing. That has very Fred Washington vibes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lance Briggs,
good.
possibly.
He just got it. Well, Fred is the worst possible because he died.
Well, true, but I'm just thinking Lance Briggs because isn't that like similar location to him?
Like the first thing they do is they buy a ridiculously fast car and but it's like, oh geez. And that car is, I had to look it up because I don't have one. And I can't read my own writing. What is it? A Vanderhall Carmel 3-wheel car?
You're telling me that's not the Pointless Exercise DeCipio company car?
Well, I'm not for tax purposes. I'm not going to admit that I have one.
Not on this podcast.
Not on this. No.
The IRS and Chinese government are right at you.
Yes, well, especially now that TikTok is following me.
Right.
I can't.
What was it? What kind of car was it called? I'm glad you looked it up. I had no idea what that thing was.
And I got to look it up again because my handwriting sucks.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
It is
Art Vandelay, something like that.
Yeah, Vanderhall. Yes, Art Vandelay. You
Vanderhall.
want to be my latex salesman? It's a Vanderhall Motorworks Carmel, a trike done right. Should we see? They're not that expensive.
What's
Although I'm sure there must be a model that is though, because this one that first comes up is $50,000. Not
Oh, it's
I got a drop in the bucket.
I got two. I got 2 cars that nice in my garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all about. That's the most expensive. Is $49,950.
Okay, all right.
You can get them in. There's 5 colors available. You can. It looks like it is. That you can't get that in atomic green. There's one you can get in atomic green. But you can get tan or cranberry red diamond stitched leather. Things that come standard. Cruise control. That's good.
Okay.
Bluetooth, sound, heat. Heat is standard in the car. That's good.
That's unusual.
Heated seats, also standard.
Mm-hmm.
Bump shifter is standard. You can add a paddle shifter if you'd rather do that.
If you're fancy. Okay.
Cap shade, whatever that is.
Okay.
Brembo brakes. Those are optional. The brakes are optional. Whether you want to stop or not is up to you. Actually, no, that is standard. Shift gauge and a boost gauge. I'm a little less impressed now.
Yeah.
I mean, he got what, $70 million, I think.
Right. I thought you were going to say this is like an $800,000 car or something.
No, he bought a go-kart, basically. Congratulations. Surprised he doesn't have to put one of those slow-moving vehicle triangles on the back of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saving that. I was like, oh god, this is I just feel like it's got very Jay Williams vibes to it when I saw it.
Oh.
Like, hey, I'll get a motorcycle. I don't really know how to drive it, but I'll get one. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll break my pelvis in 9 places and never play again. That'll be good. And then a clip that Hard Knocks had put out was Caleb having to do his rookie hazing, his song. And I got to tell you, the choice of song, I'm sure he did it for the reason I'm about to explain. But traditionally, the rookie has to say where they're from, what their signing bonus was. And then they have to do something, some kind of talent. And so he didn't leave out Oklahoma. He said he's from Oklahoma, still horns down. Yep. USC, fight on. $25.5 million, which caused Tyson Bagent to go
Tyson
into
Bagent, man.
Yeah. Seizure. Yeah.
Healed over.
But then, did you know the song he was trying to sing?
Some by John Legend.
John Legend.
I forget the name of the song.
The song is called Ordinary People. And we know the reason why he would pick Ordinary People, right? Because where was the movie Ordinary People? Because I'm sure Caleb watches it religiously. Where was that set?
Was it set in L.A.?
No.
Chicago?
Lake Forest, Illinois.
Oh.
I'm sure there's absolutely zero chance that's why he picked it. But I was like, oh, big Timothy Hutton fan. And I was like, I think that was in the on the North Shore, and it was. It was set in Lake Forest. He may have been a big Carol Burnett fan. Or Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Carol Burnett would have been a choice.
Yes.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Donald Sutherland, I believe.
I think he was in it. Yeah. Okay.
Judd Hirsch too was in it. It came out in 1980. So I'm sure Caleb's seen it a bunch.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But he's a big Marvin Hamlish fan, and Marvin did the music for that, and then John Legend.
See, it explains it all.
Yeah, it all ties together.
Yeah. I thought they usually did like their fight song.
Well, it's evolved now into you're supposed to have a talent. Didn't Aiden Hutchinson did he was Eminem last year on Hard Knocks, I think.
I guess that's true.
And then later we got the tragic figure of Theo Benedet, who nailed him.
Oh, man.
But then if you ever wondered why, or if you ever wonder why teams don't play their first stringers at the Hall of Fame game, you saw it.
Exhibit A.
That's like playing on carpet that they didn't bother to tack down every year. If you have a player that you value, you do not let them play in the Hall of Fame game.
Is it worse, do you think, at that field, or how you and Huey once described NIU's field?
Well, NIU's field was just basically they painted the cement green.
Right.
And got tackled on that.
Well, that's like the old Soldier Field.
Old Soldier Field
was like that. Yeah.
I think what NIU did, I think they bought the old turf from Soldier Field.
Nice.
And installed it.
Yeah, that was
this is a big upgrade over what we had. Look at this, huh?
Jagged concrete, that thing.
Yeah. So poor Theo. That didn't go very good.
Well, Theo had an awful lot of airtime. I would have not thought Theo Benedet would get... He was not on my bingo card for having a lot of airtime.
When you damn near get naked on camera, you know.
That was...
But the unsung star of that scene, though, was Kiran. I can't say his last name. The third-round draft pick from Yale, playing those little tiny cymbals.
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was great. That was terrific.
It was a very nice touch. Ding.
Well, I'd like to, as he's about to start his song, someone shouts out, "Is this We Are the World?" What? Who the hell's saying that? They had to be Flus or somebody like that. We Are the World. Where'd you pull that one out?
Well, it's the We Are the World documentary on Netflix just came out.
So that was it.
It would be top of mind on
okay
players' minds because that's an incredible documentary. It's someday they'll do one on the rookie show, just like that. They'll bring all the guys back.
Yeah.
We got a scene of the Flus and Caleb meeting in Flus's office, and Flus told him You have to go through hard to be good. And what I took that to mean as a Bear fan, we must be the best fans ever. Because we've gone through plenty of hard. But one thing I want people to look for, because I'm sure it'll be in every episode, look and see if you think Matt Eberflus has the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness tacked to his sitting behind him.
Wow.
Did not notice that.
Huh.
I think it's actually the wooden one.
Yeah,
But,
I would think it'd be
I
the wooden
looked at it and was like, oh, that would be great if that was actually the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness.
I'd have a lot more respect for Flus if it was the Ron Swanson.
Well, we could tell how much respect you have for him. It's oozing. You're oozing. Then we got a cameo. We got a high-powered
that was my favorite part.
cameo.
That was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
There.
And I felt like Nick Saban was there to level set expectations for Bears fans.
Yes, it's funny because I thought there was like, they were kind of playing this game like, okay, we want Bears fans not to be pissed at us, so we're going to tell them they're getting this really talented quarterback, and we're going to kind of go over the top. Then we're going to have, Nick Saban come in and talk about how hard it is to really be a star and about expectations too. I mean, he said, expectations are a killer is the exact quote. And this kid has a lot of expectations.
Now, some of the stuff he said are things we've heard before. There's NFL Films did a great thing with him and Belichick where they basically just talk to each other. They break down film and talk to each other for like 2 hours.
By the way, did you guys know that Flus played for him? I didn't know that.
Oh, I knew that. Yes, that was a big part of that.
I did not know that. I will say, Andy, question for you because you played high school football kind of around the same time. Like, were the pads that big in that era? Because they look huge on Flus. It was like pads on pads.
Flus lose 100 pounds or something because he looked pretty big.
No, right. I played high school football when Flus was in college, which is probably what you meant. They were, yes, shoulder pads were bigger. And there were guys if you go back and look at what Chris Spielman's shoulder pads.
Yeah.
His head barely pops out of those shoulder pads. I'm trying to think. There were some giants too who, like Mark Bavaro, his shoulder pads were basically same thing. He had to crane his neck out when the ball was coming to see it because his shoulder pads were up over his head. So that was a thing.
Okay.
I was trying to think of
big.
And there was some weird shit that used to go on back then. Things people thought was safe, like neck rolls. That was a big deal. You get a neck roll, so that'll keep your head from snapping back. Right. No, what it would do is it would jam your head into the neck roll and make it stop quicker. So they jam your neck. That was fun.
And make it more encouraging for everyone to horse collar tackle you.
Yes. Yeah, give something to hang on to, which is fun.
Right.
The only person who should have been allowed to wear the neck roll was Eric Dickerson because it looked really cool.
Yeah, it looked cool on him. Yeah.
And he had huge shoulder pads too. That's another guy.
He did. That's true. Yeah.
And then they would do stuff like the dumbest thing ever that I ever saw was Nick Bonacani's son Mark was playing at Tulane and broke his neck. He had a neck injury, so what they did was they tied a strap to the bottom of his face mask to the front of his shoulder pads so that his head wouldn't go back. Yeah, and all it did was it forced his head down when he hit the guy and he broke his neck and he was paralyzed.
Yeah.
He died. So that's yeah, but stuff we heard it's all good stuff. Like Saban talking about I've heard him say it before, that people's general nature is to be average.
Average, yeah.
You're just trying to survive. And the people who can strive for more are actually the exceptional ones. Because otherwise people, when things get tough, they just kind of want to get through it. They're not trying to rise above it.
Yes.
And that was good.
Human nature, yeah. Yeah, and Saban was great. He was terrific, I thought. Yeah.
Well, Jerry Angelo tried to hire him.
Yeah.
Back before, who do we get instead? That was Geron. That might have been Geron. That might have been the search that crumbled so badly that all of a sudden Dave McGinnis
right.
was being offered the job. Which Huey and I can still never ever understand why he didn't. Has anybody ever had more leverage than Dave McGinnis did when the Bears announced he was going to be their coach and he hadn't signed a contract yet? You could just name your price at that point. And he instead did the opposite and was like, I don't want to work for this rinky-dink organization. Well, no, you went to work for fucking Bill Bidwell, even more rinky-dink operation for the Cardinals.
Yeah, at least one organization. At least one organization could stay in Chicago. Yeah.
So that might have been the time that Jerry tried to lure Nick out before he eventually took his big pile of Dolphins cash. And after 2 years of that, said, all right, that's enough of that shit. And back to college for Nick. But what's the quote everybody's been... he's talking about Peyton and the 28 interceptions.
Right.
Which always reminds me of when, as Walter Matthau calls him, our man is in the tree in Bad News Bears. And he's like, what? He said, you know the story of the 44 errors. Hank Aaron committed first year in rookie ball. Hank Aaron committed, or Sandlot ball. Hank Aaron committed 44 errors. He didn't quit. You're not going to quit. This was the same with the Peyton Manning 28 interceptions. It gets brought up by every coach about every quarterback. But he said the scoreboard doesn't mean anything until the game is over. I also like the fact that he told some advice to Flus was I was never negative with my quarterbacks in front of the team. To which I guarantee every Alabama quarterback sitting at home went, what a crock of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy were all throwing
Nick.
Shit. Yeah.
But he did tell the Flus to stand behind the quarterback. And then the rest of the show, we saw the Flus behind the quarterback.
There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Looming over him.
Yeah, creepily behind him.
Very voyeuristic.
But yeah, Saban was good. And he knew he'd be good.
Yeah.
They I've seen before that they check in with each other during the season sometimes. They're apparently pretty close. And
I guess so, yeah.
It sounded like he was giving Flus kind of a compliment just for the cameras where he's talking about, he's talking about, some guys don't want to be great. Not like you though. You wanted to be. But Flus was a badass in the MAC.
Yeah.
So
right.
Nick might not have just been shining him up.
Right.
And then I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Bears have Jonathan Owens is married to Simone Biles. Have you guys heard this?
What?
I had not heard that. Yeah. Wow.
No.
But there was a great story that Jonathan told before he left for Paris, and it was he signed with the Bears, and him and his agent were like, how do we ask the Bears if you can go to Paris for a couple of days? Mm-hmm. And they were like, shit, I'm new to the team, and I got to make the team, and so he went to polls with 2 possible dates. He said I could either be there for the team competition, or I could go and I could be there for the all around and the individual. And polls apparently said to him, well, wouldn't you want to go to both?
There you go.
And he's like, well, I mean, I have to miss like a week of training camp. And polls apparently told him, you're married to Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast in the world. This is her last Olympics. You should just go. We'll figure it out. And if you listen to Flus and him talking, Flus is talking about he has the practices numbered. Mm-hmm. Owens is talking about the date. Owens goes, well, I'll be at practice on the 29th, but because I don't leave until that night. And Flus is like, well, you're gonna miss 9, 10, and 11 in HOF. Which doesn't mean 9th, 10th, 11th. He means you're going to miss practice 9, 10, 11 in the Hall of Fame game, and you're going to be back for practice 12. I like that. But yeah, you got to go. And then there was I thought a big MVP of the episode was, I don't know I got confused as to whose dog he was.
Yeah.
I think it was Jonathan. So I think he'd be Rambo Owens, but it might have been Simone's, which would be Rambo Biles. I don't know.
Well, there was
the one with the diaper.
Well, the one with the one that has to wear the strap around because he pees in the house.
Yeah.
That was the one I liked.
I was concerned. Who took care of the dogs? I didn't see anybody there.
That's why you get multiple dogs.
The dogs can take care of themselves.
They can take care of each other when you're
the inmates run the asylum.
You could be gone for weeks. It'll be fine because the dogs. That's why I have 4.
I never tried that with my dogs.
We are gone for most of the spring. We're not home. The dogs are fine. We get back. And we have a few 100 pounds of shit to shovel out of the house.
Yeah.
They've eaten. I'll just throw like 40 pounds of dog food in the middle of the floor, and we leave.
Okay,
And they've eaten that after 8 hours.
Water. What do we do about water? We just have like a big
Oh,
swimming pool.
I just have a hose by the drain in the basement, and it just runs constantly.
Oh, okay,
They can just go over and drink out of it whenever they want. I'm not a savage.
Right. Got a couple holes cut in the roof too for rain to come through. Yeah.
There's certain things about that some dog owners can do that I'm always amazed by. Number one, I can't take my dogs anywhere, right? Like, you see them like in the supermarket or whatever. Like every once in a while, I'll take one to like Lowe's, PetSmart. They go to two of them get groomed at PetSmart, but they're terrible. They bark at everybody. They want to. Actually, they're happy. They want to go like, hey, look. God forbid they see another dog. They just completely lose their shit. But the thing is the people who can have a dog door and let their dog out in the backyard whenever the dog wants to go. I mean, it seems like a great idea. But if we did that, every time it rains, our house would simply be covered in mud.
Of course.
Because they would all go out, and if it's wet, they love it, and they're rolling and they're digging and they're doing whatever, and they're just coming back in the house unattended, and there's just chaos all over the house. So I don't know how people do it.
You're kind of out in the, what's going to stop the raccoons from coming in and the possum?
I live in the middle of a town with 150,000 people, so I don't think that I'm not exactly out in the country.
Okay.
I grew up on a farm, but I do not currently live.
There's no raccoons in Rockford?
There are, but you made it sound like, because I'm out on the back 40, that there are just like elk walking through the backyard.
Right. And he's a man of the people, you see, just like J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Just like that. Ask me what makes me happy, and I'll yell at you.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, it's the meanest question anybody's ever asked me. Let's go all political now for the next 40 minutes. But
yes. Oops.
I was all excited because I immediately thought of a nickname for JD Vance, and then I found out that the Lincoln Project guys, who were a little sketchy, maybe a little more than sketchy, they'd come up with the same one, and that was when Kamala introduced everybody's favorite politician now, Tim Walz, and said that he's the varsity and JD Vance is on the JV or whatever, and I thought, JV Vance, that's a great nickname for him.
Yeah.
And then immediately I saw that like two of the Lincoln Project guys had already made the joke, and I thought, well, okay, that's a bad joke because they're, Anyway, the only other political thing I'll say is the Pod Save America guys. I am more and more impressed that Barack Obama got elected president twice with those guys playing key roles of that campaign.
You're not a big John Favreau guy, or
I want to be, but I can't. It's like, oh, yeah. Give me the other. I'm much more fit. Give me the other John Favreau.
Yeah,
than that one.
He's a better Favreau.
Yeah, and I blame Bill Simmons for foisting them on the world. He gave them their first podcast when they got out of the White House. And
is that their origin story? It's through Bill Simmons. I didn't know that.
Yeah, which had a more clever. I can't think of what the name of the podcast was. And then they went off on their own to make their own money in Pod Save America. But it's funny every time. I'm like, really, you guys are wrong about so much. But anyway, all right, now back to football. But there were things in the Jonathan Owens thing that I knew from the Olympics, like the fact that him and her parents keep score at gymnastics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of cute.
It's adorable.
It is cute. It really
They have their little spreadsheet and they're writing down the scores.
Yeah. I love that Simone's like, telling them, okay, you got to get your passport. I thought that was really very relatable. Forget. And she's like, remember the bottles are a different size. You can't have 3.5 ounces or whatever.
Right. I thought that was very helpful. That's very helpful travel advice from Simone Biles.
I know. This woman's
probably the thing you forget about the most before you travel.
And she's kind of busy. She's there to win gold medals and shit. But she was remembering that for her husband. Yeah. Sweet.
Well, very concerned about the dogs and the amount of dog hair on his pants.
Yeah, that's right. Which
gonna have to hit the lint roller before I leave.
Yeah.
I also like the everybody can relate to this. He apparently had to go back into the house after he had backed the his Lincoln out, and he had to jump over the sensor on the garage door.
Yeah, right.
That was great. Yes.
It's like something like, I know it'll be time to retire when I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But one interesting thing was, so it appeared that it was just him driving alone in the Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
Who drove it away? Did he have one of the Hard Knocks guys go park his car at the airport? Because somebody else drove it away when he walked into the terminal.
I just hope they took care of his dogs. That's what I'm still worried about here.
You know what? To go back to one other thing, who was it that was driving the little 2-seater car that we talked about earlier?
Jaylon Johnson.
Jaylon Johnson. There were scenes in that little montage where, like, you see, a shot from off the road where there's nobody in the other seat, but then there's a camera right in his face when he's driving.
So,
like, are they going back and forth with that?
I was going to say, here's the secret. It's a TV show. So they did some interview, and then they said, we need to get some footage of you just driving the car. And they got out of that car into whatever else they were driving, and they filmed him for a while driving around.
That's what they do.
Okay.
So giving themselves options for editing. Later.
Yes.
The Hard Knocks guys, they've been doing this forever. They're good at it.
They're pretty good at it. Yeah.
That airport scene though reminded me. I had a friend who he told me this incredible story about him and his family were flying to Florida, and they were flying out of Midway, and traffic all of a sudden got terrible before they could get to the airport. And he's sitting there in the car, and he's looking at his watch, and he's like, "Holy shit, we're gonna miss this flight."
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls up in front of the terminal, and he's only got they've got like 10 minutes before they got to be on the plane.
Okay.
And he's like, he tells his family, basically, you guys go. I'm going to go park. If I don't make it, I'm just going to have to catch another flight, and I'll meet you down there. But we're not all going to miss this flight. You've got to go. Okay. And one of the SkyCap guys heard him, and he's like, I can park your car for you. And he's like, what? He's like, if you got to go right now. He's like, yeah. He said, I'll park your car. I'll park your car for you. And he's like, okay. He literally says, I'm not thinking at all anymore other than I'm going to make the flight. Because I take my keys, I toss my keys to the guy, and we head into the terminal. And we're in line, and I'm saying to my wife, this is amazing. We're going to make it. And she's like, how are you ever going to get the car back? And he's like, oh shit. And he said, for the whole week they're in Florida, it's like, I can't believe this. Somebody stole my car. I just threw my keys to some guy who I just assumed I didn't, So he said, I'm worried about it the whole time. We land at Midway. He said, I go right back to where I dropped the car off, and there's another SkyCap there. And he's like, I got a crazy story for you. Yeah. And the guy looks at him and goes, oh, are you the guy that we parked the car for? And he goes, yeah. And he reaches, they have the little outdoor desk. He reaches in the desk, and he pulls out Craig's keys.
Wow.
And tells him where his car is. They would just parked it in the long-term parking lot. And he tells him where it is. And so then Craig's like, well, how do I tip the guy that did it? He's like, just give me the money. And so he gives him a tip. And they went out there, and his car was there. Wow. And he hopped in the car, and they drove home. He said, but he didn't give him a name. He didn't give him anything. Right. He was in such a hurry. He just threw the keys, and he ran in, and he got on the plane. And for a week, he stressed it. And he got back out, and they completely taken care of him. Wow. And his car was there, and they drove home.
Yeah, same mileage and everything, or was was there any the scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they leave the car?
Yeah, Ferris and Cameron had put it up on blocks in reverse for a while, and
right.
Okay, but it's funny. That's for some reason that's exactly what. As soon as I saw Jonathan Owens, that car driving away without him, I was like, oh, but it's that guy.
Yeah,
he moved over from Midway to O'Hare now.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I got to see. He was back for the last day of Simone's competition, and we got to see him in the early dawn hours. It's still dark in the house because he's got up to watch Peacock, and he really apparently really does. It's funny, you can see him he knows a routine, so he's leaning and he's doing whatever. And I thought it'd be funny if he was actually did the routine, tried to do it in the room while she was doing it, crashing into the couch and the dogs. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I don't know Jonathan Owens hardly at all. I know he was a Packer, which is a bad thing, but he seems like a nice guy, and I like the fact that Simone Biles is a Bear fan now, so it's all good.
I think I do remember she was featured was it 2 years ago, like in that Packers-Lions game when like the Packers needed to win to make the playoffs? I think she might have been featured then, and remember thinking, all right, now I hate Simone Biles forever, but can, reverse that now. We love Simone Biles on this podcast.
So I think then we got Theo Benedet in his Eagle Speedo.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Canadian singing the Lee Greenwood classic. I hate that song for a lot of reasons. Number one, the way it's currently used, but number two,
yes.
Although the Bible,
definitely.
of course, the Bible that I bought is the Lee.
I was gonna say, but
I have the Lee Greenwood Bible. Of course.
Did you get the shoes too? The gym shoes, the sneakers.
I'm saving up for those.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. There was a guy for the Beloit Snappers in 2003, Jeff Ure, E-U-R-E, whose brother was serving in the Gulf, and so that was his walk-up song for the entire season.
Oh God.
We had to hear "Proud to be an American" 4 times a game for every game.
It could be worse.
I'm not. I think I know where you were going. I'm not kidding. I would much rather it had been. What was her name?
Juliana Zobris. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
Yep.
I would rather have been alive. I would rather have felt alive 4 times a night.
Wow.
You know what? Quick tangent on this. Marquee recently showed a game from 2016 a couple weeks ago that I was kind of going about on Twitter, just being a little nostalgic about. And then Ben Zobrist comes up to the plate, and I hear that song, and I'm like, oh God, this shit again. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Ben was just at Wrigley this word.
He was.
Yeah.
Was she there?
I don't think she was there, and I don't recall hearing the song accompanying.
Her and the pastor sitting on the other side of the kids.
Yeah, I don't think they might be in their Tennessee home. Don't they have a Tennessee? They had a Tennessee home too, right?
Yeah.
She's a national. Yeah.
Hi.
We're all over the place in this podcast.
This is what the people want.
That's what they want.
No different than last night with me, Andy, and Oleg.
Yeah, I thought a good line was, so Flus gives Theo the, what do you call him, the Canadian Eagle? I forget what he called him.
Canadian Eagle. Well, at first he calls him the Eagle, then the Canadian Eagle.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, right.
But then Rome Adunze seemed jealous that he doesn't get a nickname. And I thought Flus's best line was, you don't need a nickname. Rome is too cool.
Yeah, Rome is.
We're not replacing Rome. You have a cool name. And then this had to be a Hard Knocks first, right? DJ Moore standing on the field, summoned to Ryan Poles' office during practice, signs a contract for $110 million, goes back to practice.
Yeah.
Where were you for 5 minutes? Oh, they just gave me $110 million. Oh,
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
That was strange. Yeah.
It was funny. Keenan Allen was like, excited. It's like, you got an extension? Really?
Yeah.
You have 2 years left?
Yeah,
No.
like why? Yeah.
I got 6 months left, and I know I got an
Yeah.
extension.
Yeah.
But that was our lone Kevin Warren sighting.
Yeah, and he appeared there too.
Him leaning back in the chair, looking at the contract. Yes.
How much in new money?
Right.
That's a fair deal.
Very fair, both ways. Good job.
I do love that the Drew Rosenhaus has his kid in on the business now too.
Yeah, I would imagine Drew was just laughing his ass off walking out of that room. Like, can you believe these guys just signed this contract?
Why? That's that's a great contract.
You think so? Why would
Yes.
But why do it with 2 years remaining?
Because he's completely underpaid right now, and his guaranteed money is gone now. He's in the last 2 years. If you actually want to treat your best player, which I think DJ Moore still is, it's either him or Montez.
Well, they
You
both
don't
got
jack him
long-term deals
around
now.
just because you can. And it's an NFL contract. If he gets the guarantees are guarantees in quotes.
Right.
If he gets hurt, they're not going to hold a fucking bake sale for the Bears because they signed DJ to a $110 million contract 2 years before they had to. If for some reason they have to walk away from it. No, I think that's a really good deal. And they need to. This is the time they have to do the extensions because the whole reason you want the quarterback on the rookie contract is you can afford to pay these other guys right now, which in 4 years you won't be able to. So
Kevin Warren agrees for sure. Kevin was very happy.
He did. He's immediately asked DJ if he wants to contribute to the stadium fund.
Let's get some cranes in the air.
According to Adam Johns, Rosenhaus flew in. They knew something was up, but they didn't know with who. Because Rosenhaus was seen in the building that day, and it sounds like they basically did that deal that day. Like the idea was that we're going to start the conversation about the contract, and while they were there, they basically had already come to the number, and they're like, "Well, let's just do it." So they did it. We got to see a slip and slide.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was nerve-wracking. Especially in the scene before, when you find out that like Caleb Williams doesn't have any baseball experience, doesn't really know how to slide properly.
Well, I thought the idea though was that he hadn't played baseball, but at either Oklahoma or USC, they had taught him how to slide.
That's what I took it.
Yeah. Like, and they even the Bears wanted to make sure though. They were basically asking him, okay, like, what do you do? He's like, well, the most important thing is to make sure you don't get your feet stuck in the ground when you slide. And they're like, okay, good. I guess maybe someone has told you how to do this. The Good Morning Football this morning had the Ravens apparently have like they have a fumble drill where they let two players hold hoses, and they roll a ball out, and a guy they're hosing him down as he's sliding to get the ball. It looks like a lot of fun, actually. But the last guy who did it was John Harbaugh. You see him go sliding through with the ball.
With the slacks on.
And the players, and it's the hose, like the nozzles on the hose that are the ones that you could turn open. And it's like, looks like a fire hose. Like this is not just it's not a little trickling on these guys. They're like being blasted with this. It looked like a lot of fun. Training camp is long, and you got to do something to liven it up. But they got to use the slip and slide. And it was like Brett Rippon's idea, wasn't it? Somebody was like, we have a slip and slide.
Yeah.
Quite a week for Brett Rippon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so then they were off to the Hall of Fame game. And we got to see, I don't remember now, who wore Devin's jersey, and Cole Kmet wore Julius Peppers. I feel like the Bears, like Julius has been too much of an afterthought in this whole Hall of Fame thing. Like the display in Hallis Hall's lobby, he's not in it.
Yeah.
It's McMichael's jersey and Devin's. It's like, yeah, Julius was a Bear for 4 years and like really good, especially the first year. Like, you can claim him.
You know, an important part of a.
I mean, you have the most Hall of Famers ever, and in order to keep that, given the way things have gone in recent years, you need to claim other guys' Hall of Famers, kind of like the White Sox. We're picking guys up at we need another Hall of Famer. Let's sign Ken Griffey Jr.
Right.
He can't play anymore. Doesn't matter. We'll add him to the list. We'll bring Robbie Alomar back twice. They're like, does he count twice? Like, no, he doesn't count twice. Damn it. We thought we had a loophole. But then they were off to the Hall of Fame game, and
and you heard your Jeff Joniak.
Yes, I did. I was very excited.
That was
I immediately got disoriented, and then I didn't know what was going on in the show. Just the voice triggers the confusion.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, what? Where are they?
Yeah.
Just, I love him. He's the best. So apparently what the Bears did was they had not just Caleb, but they had all the players, the starters. Most of the starters didn't play. I think like the closest thing to a starter that played was Khalil Herbert, who is not a starter right now because of DeAndre Swift. But those guys didn't play, and it was partially because they'd only hit for 4 days in camp. Getting the Hall of Fame game is really not, the reward is not the extra preseason game. It's the extra week of practice. The game is like, great, we have to, and it's mostly a glorified scrimmage, and they played at a freaking high school field. And 1 year they couldn't play it at all because the turf was rolling up. They canceled the game for safety. And then apparently Tom Benson gave him a shitload of money. And so if you look, it says Tom Benson Pro Football Hall of Fame Stadium in both end zones.
Yeah, it used to be Fawcett Stadium, right?
Yeah, Farrah Fawcett. You gave money.
Farrah Fawcett
back in the 70s.
Stadium. So that was proceeds from that poster.
Her and Lee Majors were big fans.
Did you have the Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man doll, where you could look through the eye?
Yes.
Yeah, that was classic. Yeah, that's before your time, Praz. That was pretty cool. We were pretty hot. We were pretty happy back then with that album. It was pretty cool.
I was a big fan of the Fall Guy movie, the Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt Fall Guy movie. But the one thing that really disappointed me is they changed the theme song. It's not what is the name of the song? I'm the Unknown Stuntman is the name of it, and Lee Majors sang it for the show, and they don't use that version in the thing. It's played over the phone. He is, however, in it. Him and Heather Thomas show up at the very end, and I'm old enough to remember when there was actually a discussion as to which Heather was hotter, Locklear or Thomas.
Oh,
and it was pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yes. I would say that Heather Locklear way ahead at the current moment.
I would concur.
Not so close anymore. But yeah, we got to see some of the game. We got to see Tyson Bagent do nothing, and then Brett Rippon just
tear it up.
Best quarterback in the NFL.
He was on that day. Wow.
What I'm hoping that really shows is that when you have got enough reps in this offense, and he's run it in Seattle and with the Rams, it's all the same basic offense. That you get pretty proficient at it. It actually works. That's kind of what I'm hoping.
That's right.
But then poor Austin Reed.
Yeah. Oh man, and his family too.
I thought the family was really cute though. Yes. I thought that was a sweet reaction.
Oh, that was good. And then before that, we got the Floos girls, and it was funny because they had a couple of good lines. One was when back at the party where they're watching the little kids play,
right?
And Matt Eberflus is mad that the quarterback is holding the ball so long and there's no rush. So he's got to get rid of it in 2.5 seconds, and they're playing in the yard.
They're 4 years old,
but I guess it's Grace and Giada Eberflus.
Giada,
those are
because those are the girls named Giada. That's why it stuck out to me. Like, wow, there's another person in the world named Giada.
Right,
and
not just the chef. Yeah.
And it was funny. They were basically talking about how limited the Bears were going to be with what they could call and the Texans too, because they play in week 2,
right? In the regular season, yeah.
Why do you have a preseason matchup of teams that play in week 2? It's happened. Like the Bears used to play the Browns every year, and they'd play them sometimes, but they'd always play them.
Yeah.
The regular season game would be like week 14.
And it would traditionally be like the last preseason game of the year when none of the starters would be
It doesn't matter. Yeah. You're barely running plays.
Right.
But I'd like to see. I think the Bears should invite Tim Walz to practice and have him run a little
coach.
Defense.
Yeah.
So it's very clear now from the extensive research I've done about the which Mankato High School is it, West? Whichever one he was the coach at.
Okay.
He was the defensive coordinator. The offense very clearly ran the wing tee, which near and dear to my heart. That's what we ran. You throw the ball 3 times a game, whether you need to or not. And they ran a 44 defense. When we ran we switched from the 40, we went back and forth from the 44 to the 62. And you run that because the 44, you get 4 linebackers, 4 down linemen, because the other team is running the ball every single down.
Yep.
And so, I'm all for. I need more Tim Walz high school football coach stories. I want him. Yeah, I'm going to have him on the pod, and we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk Minnesota high school football for an hour.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were talking about that during the game. But then, we got Austin Reed's family. Austin Reed, the undrafted rookie quarterback out of Western Kentucky.
Was it Western Kentucky?
He was a Hilltopper.
Okay, yeah, Western.
Yep.
Where he put up a ridiculous amount of yards.
Yes.
He seems a little short and chubby, which I enjoyed.
Uh-huh.
And he was going to get to play basically the whole third and fourth quarters. And in preseason, this was his one big shot at extended playing time.
Right.
And they got lightning done.
Right.
Yeah. Do we think he played? Do we think that was it? Is that?
Well, I would guess he'll probably get to. I would guess that they'll let him play a little bit in
Buffalo.
Probably not in Buffalo. The last, the Buffalo should be. It's Caleb's going to play. Then Bagent, then Rippon. Then the third game should be. Is that the game then? Yeah, right.
That's the game you'll see Caleb probably for an entire half.
Halftime.
Yeah.
But then they're not going to play in the fourth one. That's when you should get a lot of. You might get all Austin Reed. Maybe they'll throw him a bone and they'll give him.
There you go.
The interesting thing about it is they clearly want to keep Rippon because he's the one quarterback they have who actually knows how to run the offense.
Right.
Yep.
Bajan is their backup, and so the NFL changed the rule this year where your practice squad quarterback can get elevated to the third quarterback as many times as you want. Last year, there was a limit on it. You could only do it for a certain amount of times. So that's good. That makes it easier to keep a third quarterback. However, if you keep the third quarterback on the practice squad, any week he can be signed away by a team if they're going to put him on the regular roster. And that's how the Seahawks lost him to the Jets last year because they were doing that. And given the amount of teams that run this offense, whenever quarterbacks get hurt, the first thing they do is they look for guys on the practice squad who've actually run this offense before. And so you would lose it. And yes, we got new Jerry Rice, Colin Johnson.
Right.
Lighten it up.
Yes.
Lighten it up.
Tackling guys too on the opening kickoff.
Yes, he made the first tackle of the new kickoff rule ever. And it doesn't count because no one will remember because it was a freaking preseason game. And
what do we think of the kickoff rule? Now that we've seen it.
I'm glad they did it because the kickoffs had become kick the ball out of the end zone and nothing happens. My concern is that little Cairo is going to have to tackle people. Now, the Bear they said XFL teams early on kickers ended up having to make tackles because if he got through that line, they were the last resort. And then they started to figure out that of your other 10 guys that were, covering, you would take 2 and drop them back. And you would, we wouldn't let the defense figure out which one of them was going to drop back. So you had somebody back deeper. So the poor little kicker wasn't the one trying to make the tackle. But it was funny. Velus Jones said that if his goal was to return a kickoff back for a touchdown in the Hall of Fame game and then give the ball to Devin Hester. And there was only one problem with that. Velus didn't play.
Other than that, it was a great plan.
Yes. So apparently Velus didn't know that he wasn't going to play, but he didn't play. There was also a thing. Did you find out? I guess there were 2 reasons, but I thought this was funny. Why Torrey Taylor didn't punt?
Yeah, who was that was even punting in that game?
That was Elijah White, whatever, somebody. So the Bears, their second punter in camp is an actual NFL punter. He punted last year for the Broncos. It's not like he's not just a camp leg. Apparently, they promised him when he came to camp that they would showcase him in the preseason so that he could theoretically get a job, right? Not like because he knows he's not making the Bears unless Torrey gets hurt. They didn't draft a punter in the 4th round so they could cut him. So I think the plan all along was to let him probably in this game kick. But the other reason was, and this is galaxy brain stuff. Torrey is apparently very hard to catch. Just something weird about the way he kicks the ball. They didn't want the Texans to get practice.
Oh, that's galaxy brain.
So they just said you're not going to punt week 1 because you're not going to do it.
Okay.
So many things.
He did, however, get to play. And do you remember what he did?
He was he held he had to hold the. That was pretty wild too. That the guy has to run off the field. Yeah. That was pretty interesting. I didn't know that.
And they had they allowed both the Texans and Bears to practice it, which I thought was funny.
That was kind of cool. Yeah. I thought it was. I like the rule. I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And theoretically, you can get bigger plays, and also guys should not be getting hurt as much because you're not running full speed down the field.
Yeah. It also changes the guys you would typically put on kick coverage and kick return. You'd like to have a lot of linebackers because they needed to run, but now they don't have to run. Mm-hmm. You might end up with an extra defensive lineman because, you want a little more size, so that might cost somebody. Now, apparently, in camp, the star, and this surprised nobody, the star of kickoff coverage for the Bears when they practice this, Jack Sanborn.
Yes.
Nobody can block Jack Sanborn.
Unblockable.
He will make every tackle this year on that. So that was good. We didn't get to see it because he was one of the guys who got to rest. He didn't have to play. He didn't want the Texans.
Too much. Yeah.
Didn't want the Texans to get used to blocking Jack, which is impossible.
Didn't see any Jack Sanborn in this first episode.
Oh, you can't put it on film.
Oh yeah, I didn't see him at all. He may not have signed the release.
Could be.
They have to edit him out. Anybody who's ever done a photo shoot at a college, at anything, there's always some kid who won't sign the release, and you end up shooting around that kid the entire day. That apparently was Jack. He said, "No, I don't do anything for less than $20,000." And they're like, "Well, no, we're not Jack. We're not giving you $20,000."
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be in your stupid little documentary then. So you will not see Jack Sanborn because of that, because he just didn't want to do it. And then the episode ended with Colin Johnson and somebody in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going somewhere.
And went nowhere.
No.
And it really didn't. Because Colin's got an interesting backstory with the injuries he's had and the other thing. And I thought, okay, I'm thinking this is kind of a long episode, but I guess we're going to get a Colin Johnson thing. And we really didn't. He basically, they were like, oh, you got 2 touchdown passes. And that was it.
That was kind of my problem, though. There weren't the episode wasn't really well threaded. There was just like a lot of like little. You see Jaylon Johnson's car, like okay. You see the coffee thing. You see Jonathan Owens-Biles, okay. But there was like a lot. You see the barber shop. You're like, is this connected in any way, or just showing a bunch of shit?
No, they're checking boxes. We got to get a haircut. You knew they were going to do the Simone Biles thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That was funny. Somebody was going like, well, I don't know. They're going to get it. Did they send somebody to Paris? It's like, what? The Olympics are on TV.
Yeah.
Exactly.
NBC is
it's
a
just
corporate
the NBC
partner
highlights.
of the NFL. This is NFL Films. I would guess they can probably get their hands on some footage.
Yeah,
I don't think they had to send.
Obstacle.
You know, you knew they were going to point a camera at Jonathan Owens in the stands, so they pretty much footage was guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't think that was.
Right.
Although I'm sure somebody was actually Steve Sable probably would have. He would have gone.
He would have gone.
He would have got a free trip to Paris to go shoot. All right, so that's more than a breezy recap of it. And so who do you think? Let's do who were the winners in week 1 on Hard Knocks?
To me, I think biggest winner probably a combination of Matt Eberflus and his family. I think just Matt with the whole glow up with the barber, and his wife and daughters like sounding probably more knowledgeable about football than most people would have guessed. They would have.
They were going to say that Matt.
That too.
I would say Nick Saban. I thought Nick Saban was the best part of the episode.
Yep, Nick was good. I like the like I said, I like the Eberflus girls. It's very clear that the Bears have a lot of say, obviously, in what gets put in and what gets taken out. And I don't know, they may just be set it up the first episode. We need a lot of flus.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of flus.
Clearly, I mean, their 2 stars, if you will, are setting up to be Caleb and Flus. Yeah. At least in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Caleb comes across well too. I think he and I think he just does in general, right? I think he's media savvy. He knows what to talk about. He actually answers questions. He does stuff, whether he was taught to do it or he just always does it. Like you'll notice it when he actually listens to the question, which a lot of athletes, a lot of people don't. And he always looks at the person who asked the question, which is, that seems like a little thing, but there are a lot of quarterbacks who just stare up. They burn a hole in the podium, Mitch,
Jay,
just trying to get through the session. And Caleb seems to actually be there to try to answer questions.
He did have a pretty savvy PR team in LA. Days. So he comes across. Yeah, I agree. Came across good. I agree. The family too. I thought Flus's family they were cute. It was good.
Yeah. And Kevin Warren, of course, for scrutinizing that contract.
Well, this is a great deal for both sides.
Yeah. Shut up. All right. So were there any losers in week 1?
The only losers, I guess you could say, are like people I would have expected to be on camera that weren't. I thought we were going to get some like Tory Taylor. I thought we were going to get.
There are 4 more episodes.
That's true. I thought we would get a little bit more of Shane Waldron than just shots of like him talking with players.
We got more of the barber than Shane Waldron.
Exactly. Yeah, got more of the barber than Shane Waldron.
The barber didn't correct Caleb's foot placement, though, as far as we know.
Right.
And Shane did.
We don't know. Maybe he's the Flus whisperer. The barber's telling Flus what to tell Caleb.
Yeah. The one part of the opening scene that kind of made me like cringe a little bit was like the Bears fans on the bridge waving to the players.
Well, that was from the schedule release shoot. that they did. That was a scene in that where they had the players on the boat, and the fans waved, and they used that. They did not actually, as regular course, the Bears don't go out in mass and go up the Chicago River where fans can gather on the Dave Matthews Bridge and wave.
Right.
And empty their bowels onto the team.
Yeah, I noticed that too, because I was like, oh, I know what that's from.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, the losers were the American people, the people watching the fact that there was very little Cairo Santos.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the loser was Taylor McGregor because she did not get to interview the family of the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
you know next year if Matt Eberflus is still in our lives, that when he throws out a first pitch at a game and hits his turn to sing Tatum after the ball game, like they're going to do everything they can to seek out Matt Eberflus's family for that.
I don't know if I'm more depressed that you'll think Taylor will be back.
Yeah.
Come on, can't ESPN give her she already does football. Can't they find a bigger role for her?
That's true.
Just
can't
free us
the Rockies
from her inanity. Yeah. What do you think the best scene was?
I thought it was Saban and Flus in the having their meeting. I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah.
I love the Jonathan Owens, Simone Biles FaceTiming each other with the dogs there. That was heartwarming.
Mine was the haircut. I just couldn't get enough of it.
I like the haircut too.
I want the director's cut of the haircut.
Yep.
What was the most alarming scene? Mine's already been given away.
One we didn't really mention, but I think it was at the training camp festival when you saw Brett Rippon and Austin Reed and Tyson Bagent, I think, doing that workout where they were going backwards, and some were saying I share a birthday with. One was saying I share a birthday with Kanye West, and then one guy was who was it? Yeah, Brett Rippon. He said I share a birthday with O.J. Simpson and Tom Hanks, and then one of them said, I describe it in that order too.
Yeah, good call. I'm going to change my most disturbing or alarming scene to that one. That was great. Yeah.
As someone who shares a birthday with Dick Butkus and Donny Osmond.
Oh, wow. I'm talking about Sophie's choice of great.
I never know. But I always said that to me always proved that horoscopes are real, because Dick Butkus, Donny Osmond, and I, the planets, our fate was intertwined every day.
Yes.
We cannot dispute.
There's no disputing it.
No, my most alarming scene is still going to be Jaylon Johnson driving the backwards three-wheeler.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Buddy, no, you get hurt on your own. We don't need you driving around in a little toy car.
Right.
And then funniest moments. Were there any that we didn't?
We touched on it already, but when the Flus and I forgot the other guy, where they were dressed identically.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love the Theo Benedet singing karaoke in the Speedo. Thought that was funny.
He'll be missed. He could probably still make it, right? I mean, an undrafted free agent missing all of training camp. That seems like that wouldn't be that big a deal, right?
Yeah, and I gotta say, Poles looked distraught when he was given that news. Oh my God, 4 to 5. What are we gonna do without this guy for 4 to 5 weeks? Really? Is it that critical?
He's our second best offensive lineman.
Yeah. Another pretty funny moment I thought was Liev Schreiber in his descriptions, kind of breaking the fourth wall.
That was Joe Buck's fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything for a fan, Joe.
Yep. That was funny. So I can't wait Tuesday to hear Liev Schreiber describe a Brett Rippon to Colin Johnson touchdown pass, and on that play they threw another one.
Yep.
There you go, Liev. There was one thing that I'm just going to connect the dots because I think it's what happened. So there was Caleb was on the sidelines with DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre was basically telling him, this is your team. If you need to tell somebody something, you tell them. And I'm pretty sure that was the day, I don't know if you guys saw this, that Caleb got the team together and basically told them, pick up your own shit in the locker room. You don't need to leave your towels all over. You don't need to leave your water bottles everywhere. There's people, I know those people work here, but they've got a lot of other stuff to do. You could put your towels and your water bottles away. But this is the part I don't think, did you know that Amani Toomer, former Michigan Wolverine and NFL player, said that was terrible. That was, called it Russell Wilson stuff from Caleb. And it was clear that he's going to be a problem. And the people were like, because he told other people to pick up after themselves.
Right. tell people to do the most basic thing ever. Yeah.
What was Amani Toomer's reasoning? I don't get the reasoning behind that.
He's a rookie. Rookies shouldn't be telling. If a vet wants to be a fucking slob, he can be a slob. It's like, I guess, Amani, you seem like an asshole. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I see. Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah. But I wondered because it was either right after he did it, and it was DeAndre basically telling me he did the right thing, or basically DeAndre going, look, if you want to tell these guys to pick their shit up, tell them. You're the quarterback. This is what you're here for. That's part of your job. You're running the team. Make them pick up their own shit. And as somebody who does not like a mess, I'm on board with DeAndre and Kate picking up the locker room.
I don't like people who are slobs and let them clean shots.
All right, did we miss anything in our breezy hour and 17-minute recap of an hour-long TV show?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Hard Knocks. I watch it. I think I've watched every single episode ever. I will congratulate the Flus for at least through the first week. He has not fallen into the Joe Philbin or Dave Campo zone. Yeah, where you were immediately like, "Oh my god." We don't need him to be Rex Ryan and Dan Campbell.
Right.
They're their own things.
Do the Bears have a Bob Wiley on their staff like the Browns had?
I hope not.
Big burly guy.
Well, the Bears had Bob Wiley at one point.
The Bears did have Bob Wiley. Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
talking about how it's funny. His whole thing. He goes, "You never." His whole thing was that you never see lions stretch before they hunt. Is that wasn't that his thing? About you don't really need to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
We got 4 animals in here. These fuckers stretch all the time.
Yeah,
they're constantly stretching.
Constantly stretching.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like yoga down here some days with the 4 of them getting ready in the morning. So I don't think Bob Wiley's full of shit.
Because they're making each other breakfast, preparing for you to leave.
By the way, Bob Wiley, as of 2023, still in the coaching realm, was with the Vegas Vipers of the XFL, their offensive line coach last season.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember when he was a Bear.
With the Bears from 99 to 03.
So, Duran,
yep.
That makes sense. All right. Well, we'll do it again next week.
All right, boys.
Absolutely.
Many of us have herpes.
See what was up your sleeve? Did you use it or?
I don't know. What's up yours?
You got me there.
Yeah.